Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm extremely excited because in this video, I interviewed Amazon A+ content expert, Anna, who is the co-founder of Share It Studio, to talk all things A+ content to ultimately improve your Amazon listing conversion rate and ultimately generate more profit from every single visitor to your listing through A+ content. And we cover all different sorts of tips, the exact template that you can use for your own products, what not to do and things that are actually against Amazon's terms of service, and a bunch of other tips. And this video ran a little bit longer than we expected, which is why I created this intro video just to let you know a couple things. So number one is that we have time-stamped the most important topics that we covered in our interview in the description section below. So basically you can go to whatever topic you are most interested in. For example, maybe it's the exact kind of A+ content exact template. You can go ahead and find where we talk about that in the video. Go ahead and click on the button and it'll take you right there to kind of save you some time in case you're just looking for very, very specific information. Otherwise, feel free to watch through the entire video, which I would recommend because like I said, there really is a lot of great value here. And then also, Anna has actually provided to us some really great examples of real life A+ content that you can actually view on Amazon right now and use for inspiration for your own A+ content. So examples to Amazon will be also in the description section below. So you just go ahead and click and see those examples. We're also going to include some downloads that you can actually kind of have these PDF or these JPEG files that you can download and also use those as inspiration for your A+ content. Those A+ content example downloads will be in our Facebook group in the files section. So just go to our Facebook group, join, it's free to do so, and then it's in the files section along with a ton of other free resources. If you're interested in that, we'll also have a link to our Facebook group in the resources section. So a lot of really great stuff all there. Everything that we talk about will be covered there. And I hope you guys find this video valuable and ultimately drastically improve your conversion rate. I know I learned a ton from talking to Anna and hope you do as well. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm extremely excited because I'm joined here with Anna from Share It Studio, a content marketing agency that specializes specifically with Amazon sellers. And today we're going to be talking all things A+ content and really diving into overall, what is it? What are the benefits of it? How to create a template for yourself, giving some examples and covering a lot more that a lot of Amazon sellers aren't aware of. So Anna, welcome to the channel.
Hi everyone. Sumner, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. Let's get started.
Great. And then Anna, right before this call, you were mentioning this really interesting statistic. So this is kind of the reason that I brought Anna on specifically over anybody else to talk about A+ content. So again, with Share It Studios, they specialize in kind of photography, I think video, graphics overall for Amazon sellers. And you can just go ahead and share the stat that you shared with me earlier.
Yeah, so we create visuals for your listings, for your Amazon brands, listing photography, videos, and A+ content. And we are so proud to say that our clients on average experience 300% increase in sales after 3 months after uploading our content. The reason why it's possible, it's because we don't just create beautiful, pretty pictures. We make sure to do the research first. So we analyze the niche, right? We study the competition. We analyze what customers are asking, what they're putting in their reviews. And based on that, we are creating a custom visual strategy and content plan for each and every listing we work on. So there's no such thing as one package fits all. Some products require more lifestyle images, some require more infographics. So it's all very, very custom, and we make sure to use that custom approach when we work with our clients.
Wow, that's amazing. So people who've been following me for a while, they know how heavy I am on audience research, and of course, but that's a pretty crazy stat, 300% increase in sales over 3 months. So again, that's exactly why we have Anna on. And hey, if you watch to the end, maybe you can increase your sales a little bit, which is the whole point of this. So awesome. Let's go ahead and dive in. So first, what is A+ content? I'll just kind of briefly cover that for those who maybe have heard about it or so A+ content is essentially, if you think about, if you're an Amazon seller who is not brand registered and you think about your description section, it's a very simple way of putting it. A+ content sort of replaces that description section. It's a more rich kind of section that includes images, text, and you'll see this. And in order to access this, you need to be brand registered. So if you're not brand registered, still fine, because you want to make sure that you know this and you're prepared for this when you do become brand registered. And it's one of the best reasons to become brand registered. And then so it's this much more kind of rich section kind of in your description section. And obviously we're going to go into a lot more detail about that. And then Anna, what are some of the benefits of A+ content? Maybe aside from just, right, you have a more beautiful description section that ultimately, increases conversions. What are maybe some other benefits of having A+ content?
Yeah, of course, the main benefit is increasing conversion, but let me go in a little more detail. Why does it actually increase conversion? Well, we all know that obviously the more visuals you have on your listing, the better, right? Because your customers, your potential customers, that's how they make their decision, right? They can touch it, they can smell it, they can taste it. All they have and all you can provide them with is a visual information. And nobody really reads the text. Like the latest statistics shows that like people ignore the text and they only really are paying attention to visuals. So basically you just help them experience the product better, right? And you're providing, you're giving them more value. Sometimes it's not enough, those 7-9 images that you upload. Sometimes it's not enough to communicate product features. Sometimes it's not enough to show, instant steps or different uses. So then you can use this additional space to give them more information so that they take a more informed decision. And what does it mean? It means whenever you take in a more informed purchase decision, it means the return is less likely to happen, right? So a part of increasing conversion, you also minimizing the number of returns, right? And obviously you improve your SEO. How? First of all, a person spends more time on the listing, which influences SEO. And also, let's not forget Amazon is indexing keywords or alt text that you are, adding to images when uploading A+ content. So those two things also influence your ranking. So altogether, I think it's pretty clear that you need it. You need A+ content on your listing.
That is, okay, there's a couple points. And again, I know I'm going to be learning from you here, and I already have. So that's a great point that you just mentioned that I didn't even think about with kind of A+ content overall. That's going to increase the amount of time someone spends on your listing, which ultimately can increase conversions, but also can improve your SEO. That's something I didn't even think about, and that's a brilliant point. And then you also mentioned, which I was kind of curious about, mentioned kind of some more recent data has shown that people are kind of maybe skimming over the text and really just focusing on the visuals. Is that just for A+ content specifically, or just kind of the Amazon listing overall?
The whole listing, yeah, for the whole listing. There are those studies that detect eye movement, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so whenever a person is opening a listing, maybe he's going to read the title and then he glances right to where the images appear. And then he scrolls down, looking for images. And then maybe at the end, he's going to scroll back up and read the text. So basically, we have to understand that obviously bullet points are important, but they are more important in terms of keywords and how Amazon is analyzing your listing rather than communicating to your customers. So that's how I like to explain it to my clients. Yes, you need your bullet points, but think of it that way. With bullet points, you're speaking to Amazon as a platform that indexes text. With your images, photos, and A+ content, you're speaking to your customer. Both are super important, but I think speaking to your customer is more important than speaking to Amazon because, all of what we're doing is for our customers, right? Not for the platform to be happy, but for them to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something else that I have, because I know there's some people in the space, some other sellers that I've talked to who are, and rightfully so, they talk about this importance of copywriting and how important it is. And it is, of course. But for me personally, when I use Amazon, and I just bought, for example, this ring that's on my finger, the silicone ring, I just bought that like this week. And I personally pay significantly more attention to visuals. I feel like most people do. It's just like, yeah. So I think there's definitely, and that's part of the reason we had you on, is I think there's this huge lack of importance or emphasis given to the visuals of any listing, including the A+ content, the main images. So yeah, I think those are some great points. Oh, and then that was another thing. I think this is from, I learned this from Anthony Cofrancesco from PickFu. I was just going through some of his videos, but mentioned the point that 90% of information on Amazon listings is transmitted visually versus text. And that
I think it's like not just Amazon, it's in general how we humans process information. It's like how our brain works.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, a lot of it's not just, hey, here's my opinion about this. Like, oh yeah, let's look at what the data says. This is what the data says. And then let's, make changes based on that. So totally understand that. And then with A+ content, you were kind of mentioning to me, there are two main types of A+ content. Would you mind kind of describing what you mean by those kind of two types of A+ content?
Yeah, of course. So the two types I mentioned are the basic one and the premium one, right? So basic one is the one that's accessible for all brands who are registered. It's free. And paid one, well, it is paid. It's a significant investment. But let me go into detail about each of those. So the basic one, it's mostly you see when you see the listings. Most of those that you're gonna see are basic. It's pre-formatted text and image-based models, right? What we do for our clients, though, we recommend the strategy, again, less text, more visuals. And in general, I feel it's more consistent, more engaging, more professional. So we just provide them with images that they upload as well, 5 images, just like you can upload 5 models, image and text, but we add text inside the images. So it looks more like a visual section rather than image text, image text, image text.
Gotcha. Okay, I get what you're saying. And then also, I meant to mention this as well. We are going to include some examples of what we're talking about here, because I know, of course, we're talking about visuals, and we're visual people. But we're going to include some actual examples to the templates that we cover in the description section. We'll figure out exactly kind of which examples we will include, as well as potentially also in our Facebook group in the files section. So a link to the Facebook group will be in the description section as well. And then you can go to the files section and actually visualize and kind of see. But yeah, if you go just on Amazon, just go to any listing and kind of look. If they have A+ content, you see, yeah, I know exactly what we're talking about. Some of that, kind of text with the image. And you're talking about having kind of like one image technically, but there's text within that image. Yeah, that makes sense. You look much more professional. Interesting.
There's much more creativity because you can use the whole space, the whole width of the image.
Yes.
And for the paid type, you can actually upload 7 models compared to 5. So you have more opportunities there. And the premium A+ content also allows you to use the whole width of the screen. So you are allowed to upload super high resolution images. You are allowed to upload videos to your A+ content and some interactive sections like carousels, like clickable Q&As. So if you are a big brand, this is definitely something to look into. But don't get discouraged if you're not that big yet. If premium A+ content is unattainable just yet, look into that idea of combining images with text. It's gonna be as close as you can get to premium A+ content without paying those crazy fees.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wasn't actually aware of this. I don't know if this is newer. So, and then in terms of because you mentioned kind of like the basics. So basically, I'm an Amazon seller. I become brand registered, and now I have access to A+ content. And there's the basic, which I think we're familiar with, that Ali and I, for our listings, what we utilize is, which we kind of already described, and what you'll see on most. But there's also the option that we can actually pay basically for an upgraded that has kind of more elements that you could add as well as more length.
Yes, correct,
I did
correct.
not know that actually, and I should have known that, but I did not at all. Interesting. Yeah, I have to look into that. But and then you would recommend, so for someone is, and actually question for you then, have you noticed with your clients, those who have kind of utilized more of kind of that like that basic A plus content template type versus those who utilize the premium, have you seen a drastic difference in conversions or just overall performance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, um, adding any kind of A plus content is already good. Okay, so let's say if you're not able right now to invest, in creating those images, uploading additional images plus text is definitely going to be a plus. But if you're looking to really optimize your listing, and if you are to choose, of course, I would definitely recommend the second option. If you go and check any big brand, you'll see that this is the format they're using. And like, this is how I like to work. And, I'm always looking up to bigger, better, more successful brands. And that's what they're choosing because it looks more professional, because it looks more engaging, more eye-catching. So of course, the conversion is different as well.
Absolutely. Interesting. Like I said, yeah, learning. Yeah, I'm going to be learning a lot from you in this call. Okay. Very interesting.
We have a lot of clients who already tested the very basic image and text kind of A plus content, and they want, some boost. And then we create that new look, and they experience conversion increase 100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and that would be interesting. So maybe would this be a recommended strategy overall? Is like, so obviously, becoming brand registered, great move. You go from that kind of, especially now that Amazon announced with that kind of basic description, not A plus content, just that basic, whatever you have, you're not brand registered, that you can no longer use HTML in that section. So it was already not that pretty. And then now it's obviously completely text heavy, no visual. So that move from the basic description to the basic A plus content template, that should already see a huge kind of improvement overall to your listing, and kind of maybe start there. And then this would be a question for you as well. If someone kind of maybe utilized, for example, like Share It Studio, created that kind of basic template, are you able to kind of build on top of that template, or would it kind of need to be a completely new, moving from the basic to the premium? If that makes sense. Like someone gets basic with you, could you build out to get premium, or would it kind of have to be a redesign?
No, it has to be redesigned. It has to be redesigned because when you are creating a content thinking of a square image, your design and your communication is kind of constrained by that. But when you have a full width or half of a screen width modules to play with, either narrow or wider, because we used to header image and header 6, I believe, are two types of images that we're using. You rethink the way you communicate, and the way you can showcase features or something else. So no, you can't really. It has to be done from scratch because it's just a different approach.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that all makes sense. And what would your overall kind of process be for going about? Because I know you mentioned not just like a lot of people just kind of dive in. Okay, here's the template. Boom, 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 boom. Like here's how you structure it in kind of Amazon Seller Central. But what is your overall kind of like process going about creating A plus content, for your clients that someone maybe could use for their own products?
So first of all, I recommend thinking, okay, these are my listing images. What else I haven't communicated? What else I can show? Try avoiding repeating images. Even Amazon doesn't recommend it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I want to restate it. It's not about posting the same image again. It's about sitting down and thinking, okay, what else can I tell about the product, about the brand? If it's a brand with a story, one of the key things that I recommend for A plus content is to tell the brand's story. Okay, that generates trust. That makes everything look real legit, like there's a story behind it, that it's not just a random choice of product name. It shows that there's a brand with a certain goals or missions. Even better if you are actually the founder of the brand, got that idea of a product or a brand based on your personal story. Tell that story, put your portrait there, put your name. Hey, my name is Anna. I came up with this idea because of this, and that, and it made my life better, and I want to make your life better, right? That creates this personal connection, and that's like super important if you really want to build a brand. So if there is a story behind the brand, if there's a personal story, this is a must, in A+ content section. So I definitely recommend adding that. What else? Like I said, additional features, additional uses, additional lifestyle images. We like to focus on lifestyle images rather than, explaining features. That kind of goes more in listing images. Here is your chance to show maybe different areas, different models, different, additional things that you haven't been able to communicate through the images. I would add, if you have different variations, size or color, I would promote them there. Yes, you can see them on top, they're clickable, but sometimes people just, I don't know, see the color they like and they kind of stay on that page. But then maybe you can come up with the, creative idea of showcasing different colors or sizes or variations of your product. And even different products entirely from your brand, maybe you can mention that too. I also like adding, looking for very impressing or touching positive review and highlighted in plus content. This is kind of against the guidelines, but it's a gray area. We have like half of our clients who we deliver that and they upload it and it gets through, it's approved. Some of them face difficulties. If they do, we change it. But in case it goes through, I think it's cool, it's nice, especially for listings that have tons of reviews, and you don't usually go all the pages. So I like to highlight at least one positive review in a content. What else? Like I said, less text, more images, obviously high quality images. And I think the last thing I want to mention is remember to keep it mobile friendly. Yeah, remember to consider how many mobile shoppers are out there right now. We shop on mobile, and daily the percentage is changing day by day. More and more people shop on mobile. Oh, by the way, since I started talking about mobile, I should mention that when you open Amazon listing from your mobile phone, I'm sure you noticed that you first see the images, then you scroll, you see A+ content if it exists, and only then you see bullet points. Yeah. That's how Amazon is structuring, the listing on mobile. So that matches with what we talked about before about text. They understand that text is the last thing people want to are going to pay attention to. So yeah, those would be my main tips for A+ content.
Gotcha. No, it totally makes sense. Those are, I wrote some of these down for ourselves because I think we have kind of felt guilty of reusing some of the same images that we use for our main images just out of ease and kind of like, hey, we don't want to pay for extra kind of graphic work or anything like that. So that's very interesting. And then one question I had for you, because basically, and how A+ content works for those who don't already know, is you can kind of log in. I believe it's go into your Seller Central account under advertising. You'll see A+ content manager. And then from there, you can basically build this template, and there's all these elements you can choose, and you can kind of put in these different elements and kind of fill up your basically your template. And there's the elements in Amazon themselves, but how you use the elements, like Anna was saying, can be very, different. Like you can, have a full image that's just, you can use, for example, this kind of like image element and just have like an image as a visual, or it could be a visual that has text in it. And what is that? Could be, for example, the It could be like the brand story. It could be the, one of the customer testimonials. So that's kind of overall how it works. And then a couple other things. So that was just one thing I wanted to kind of mention, but it's a good point. And I know we've experienced a couple issues with this, but of including, for example, that customer testimonial as one of those kind of elements or part of the A+ content. Have you found with any of your clients, if they've ever kind of reported back of, obviously when you create your A+, you submit it for approval first before it goes live. If for those clients that it's approved, have you noticed any issues after it's been approved of like later, hey, no, this is now no longer approved, for example?
No, never happened. That never happened. If it's approved, it's approved. Yeah, if it doesn't approve from the first try, then we change it to something else.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know. That's just something that I was curious.
Yeah, I also think I should mention that yes, of course, there are some gray areas, but we all should follow Amazon guidelines, obviously, and if there are some restrictions, we should keep them in mind. Yeah, so apart from the reviews, which is a gray area, obviously there are some other things such as warranty or guarantee info, though this sometimes goes through as well. I'm not sure how, but what is strictly not allowed is comparison with competitors, mentioning of pricing, obviously redirecting to other websites and giving some off Amazon contact information, satisfaction claims. So be careful with that, and as well careful with claims about awards, certifications, and environmental claims. Those are allowed, but there's certain wording that Amazon requires. So just check that out. So those are, the most common restrictions.
Gotcha. And is there any, and then this is another question I have for you, if you've just kind of heard with some of your clients, because obviously it goes through the approval process. Is there any issue of like, for example, let's say a seller accidentally, or knowingly infringes on one of these, makes claims, if it's, what is it, like, warranty, get 15% off on our website, right? Or whatever. Obviously, clearly Amazon does not like that. Environmental, all those kind of things. If that kind of one of those claims was made, is there any issue of like it gets submitted and obviously it would not get approved, but then also having other issues or ramifications with the listing? Or it would just be with that A+ content, just nope, need to change it?
Nobody ever reported anything like this. Yeah, it's just that if it's not approved, Amazon gives you like an error message, an explanation of what has happened, and they actually almost always give you exact note what is it that has to be changed. And I've never heard that it affects the listing in any way.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe a little bit different when it comes to, like your title, bullet points, or even back-end keywords, at least from what we've experienced, not knowingly, but unintentionally, or especially we used to, include our top competitor brand keywords in our back-end. And that was clearly like Amazon saw that and kind of dealt with that. So yeah, fairly low risk. Obviously, you don't want to do anything to infringe specifically on Amazon's terms of service. But for those kind of more gray areas, kind of like that, customer testimonial, for example, it seems like it'd be fairly low risk overall just to kind of, submit it for approval. If it doesn't get approved, okay, then we'll change it. But if it gets approved, fine.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That great insight. And the last kind of point specifically about A+, just in my mind, that I wanted to kind of ask about or even mention is, I know that there's, and we haven't utilized this yet, and I know we should be, and we will be heavily in the future, or we plan to, but there's the opportunity to A/B test your kind of A+ content within Amazon. And like I said, I have no experience doing it thus far. I actually don't know many Amazon sellers who are actually utilizing it. Although I know, I will be A/B testing, using tools like PickFu or other kind of A/B testing software specifically, and then kind of implementing with their listing. Is that, I don't know if you have any opinion on it. If, for example, there could be like, yeah, it sounds great in theory, but maybe in reality, it's not that great, or, just your opinion overall about A/B testing the A+ content.
Honestly, testing is always a great idea, but this particular testing, I'm not able to give you, any answer that will be backed up with some actual info. I do not know anybody who did that testing to get their feedback on it, you know. So I won't be able to speak about that, but in general, testing is a good idea. Testing with some feedback, like Pigful gives you, that's even better idea, because you don't just see which is the winner, you are able to understand why, you know, people are providing you with some insights, and you can go ahead and maybe fix something. But this is something to look into for sure. If there's a testing for A plus content, yeah, why not? If Amazon, I'm a strong promoter of utilizing everything Amazon has to offer. You know, if they allow you to upload up to 9 images, why do you upload 3 or 4? Use, you know, all space. Same here. If they give you that tool, use it. There, like, I don't see any negative, you know, consequences. Only positive.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know. And then, yeah, we will be. So we'll let you know maybe some of our findings once we get around to using it. And then, what would you say if someone was going to A/B test? Because I know obviously A/B testing is just basically creating 2 different versions that are almost identical except for like one element or one kind of small difference, and seeing, or could be multiple, but which one ultimately performs better. So maybe, you know, more text heavy A plus versus more visual heavy. Maybe just changing kind of that header image. What kind of small change or tweak do you think could be worth A/B testing for? Like, for example, I know, you know, with email marketing, that kind of subject line is the most important, more important than the entire body of the email. Because of course, if no one opens, then no one, it doesn't matter how great your copy is or anything.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the main image, and then for A plus specifically, it'd probably be that. Would it also follow? It's just kind of using my logic, but it might not be that kind of main top section there, like kind of like the very first kind of element of your A plus content, and maybe kind of testing those, because maybe if it doesn't really catch the eye,
I think that A plus content is the feature that is more. I think it's a sum of elements rather than the header good or the footer. I feel like it's the overall feel and look. So I like what you mentioned about more text heavy and less text heavy. That's a great idea for testing. Maybe experimenting with different lifestyle images. For instance, I mean, this for me, this is not really for testing. It's obvious that lifestyle images that have humans in them, you know, they convert because you have this connection, rather than lifestyle images without humans. But let's assume that you did amazing photo shoot and the quality is great and you really like those lifestyle images without any models in them. So maybe you want to play with that and see which lifestyle images kind of perform better. I think it would depend largely on the type of product, you know, and the type of, the type of product. Playing with lifestyle images, playing with less text, more text, maybe playing with the overall color palette. I don't know, darker theme, lighter theme.
yeah.
Maybe playing with the sequence. There are a lot of things you can play with for sure. Or maybe since there's just 5 models and you have so much information, so many images that you're not sure what to fit, what's more important. So maybe playing with different types of information in the models. You know, maybe create one with, I don't know, comparison chart and one without, and see if comparing, you know, is something that's gonna improve, you know, customers' experience, things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think those are all great points. And that's something that I just recently learned, kind of that lighter versus darker color scheme, and kind of how, yeah, it's very interesting psychology, go down a whole rabbit hole, but yeah, very, very interesting. And then for your overall template, and I know you kind of mentioned this, that it might really maybe depend on the specific listing, but is there any kind of, with that, you know, kind of like that brand story, the, you know, customer testimonial, the lifestyle images, the kind of and then and you mentioned this before, but with the comparison chart, or obviously you can't use that to compare your product to competitors' products. That's against Amazon's.
You have to be.
Yeah, but you could use it for kind of cross-selling your other either variations or other products entirely if that, you know, audience would be interested. So is there kind of a way, like, you know, you wouldn't put the product comparison maybe at the very top, or would you, or kind of how maybe the overall structure of how it could look?
I don't know. I think at the top, it should be less text heavy, just like a logo or maybe your slogan, or a couple of like a phrase with a really eye-catching visual lifestyle. I'm preaching. I'm all for lifestyle. Please forget about white background images. Nobody needs white background images unless, you know, it's a main image. So good lifestyle image that creates action, preferably with a model to see another human, you know, to get that emotion going, because buying is emotional process. We haven't mentioned that yet in this conversation, but we all know that, but it's important to restate it again. We are emotional beings and we make purchases based on our emotions. What generates emotions? Lifestyle images seen in other humans interacting with the product. So for the top part, I would recommend something like this. Then you can tell a brand story, a little bit of background about yourself or about the brand. Then you can go to highlighting some features or uses that, you know, that additional part that that didn't fit in the listing images part. That's the third model. The fourth model can be a review with another, you know, lifestyle image. And then the fifth model can be either comparison or promoting different variations, or if you don't have anything else to say, again, pretty lifestyle image, you know, again, your slogan, logo, something like that. So yeah, so like it's less text heavy, top and bottom, and some information in the middle. Yeah, so it's like you don't overwhelm the viewer, you know.
Gotcha.
So he's emerged. First, it's light and easy, and then a little bit of information, and then you take him out as well. So yeah, a lot of psychology behind it, but
no, that totally makes sense. It totally makes sense, and that's yeah, that's a very solid. I'm just kind of thinking through our own A+ content models. I'm like, okay, there's definitely some changes that we need to make. I think we're going to be utilizing some of your services. And I know also you mentioned kind of before, and we kind of covered this briefly in terms of kind of what not to do with the A+ content in terms of, you know, I think it goes to like warranty information, directing people off of Amazon, all of that. And I think there should be, I'm sure Amazon policy link, we'll find that and include that in the description as well. So you can kind of read some of Amazon's policies about that. But did you have anything else in terms of kind of like, you know, we've talked about what to do, but maybe like what not to do with A+ content, maybe not even just technical, like this won't get approved, but also just things that you see like all the time brands doing. You're like, oh my goodness, please stop doing this.
Okay, that I definitely have something to say about this. Please don't use stock images. Forget about stock images, okay? They do not bring any value. It's not, the idea is not to fill that space with whatever images and whatever text just because, you know? Think of it from the customer perspective. I see a picture of a random woman, I don't know, smiling. What value does it bring me? Nothing. It is not connected to your brand. It's not connected to your product. And our brain, like we're actually very smart beings. Our brains immediately detect that it's not, that it's a stock image, that it has nothing to do with you, you know? And that's like right away, like, you know, it doesn't look professional. It doesn't generate trust. It doesn't bring value. So if there's one thing I can make understand everybody, please don't use stock images. Invest in good lifestyle photography, you know, because that's what brings value. People want to see actual people interacting with your product. They don't want to see random smiling faces. That's actually damaging. So yeah, try to think from the customer perspective rather than from Amazon perspective. But because I feel like a lot of sellers, I understand it's about algorithm, it's about keywords, but I feel like people get so, they forget why are they even there. You know, you are there not to sell to Amazon, liked by Amazon or by algorithm. Yes, all of this is important. You have to take care of that. But you're there to create a customer experience. You're there to give value to your buyers, especially if you want to build a brand. You know, and if you're watching that video, if you're, you know, I guess you are on the path of building a brand, of growing a brand, and yeah, you have to think of the customer. Another thing I forgot to mention, please make sure to read your customers' questions and reviews. You know, this is very important for the rest of the visuals as well, but it's another idea that maybe you didn't have space to address that in your listing images section. Address that in A+ content. If you see that there is a repeating question or repeating concern in the reviews, address this. Maybe you can find a way to explain, you know, so that it doesn't become a surprise, and that person is already aware of that, you know. So this is very important. If your listing is fresh and you don't have any reviews and questions yet, see what your closest customers are asking and write it in the reviews. Maybe that could give you some idea. But yeah, listen to the customers and try to see the listing from their point of view, not from the Amazon algorithm kind of point of view.
Yeah, I agree 110%. I understand there's a lot of, especially I find, you know, in general, not that it is, but obviously there's so many men in the space. And I know from my own personal experience, we tend to get very obsessed with those kind of numbers, analytics, and that's all great. And also more word-based.
That's the word I've been looking for, obsessed, yes.
Yes, and it is, 100%, like, that's why I just, again, that's why we have you on. I've seen this huge gaping hole in the importance of visuals for Amazon sellers. And it's obviously, and you want to talk about data, but you already shared some data points about, you know, the average kind of your clients, 300% increase over 3 months in revenue. So, I mean, it definitely, and it all makes sense. And I'm like, need to go back and update our own. Those are amazing points. And people who have been following us, that's something that we talk about a lot, is also review analysis. It's also what, and I'll make this point because some people aren't aware of why I'm also a big fan of that as well, is Tim Ferriss, right? Silicon Valley kind of billionaire, 4-hour work week, you know, all these books and everything. He wrote The 4-Hour Chef. To write his book and develop the book, and of course it went into his images and his copy and everything else, is he went to the top competitors in the space and read through their reviews and specifically looked for, I liked it, but. So kind of like 4-star reviews and down, especially the 4-star were like the best, is what he said, 3 and 4 star. Because I liked it, but it was missing brisket, for example. And then you can actually count, okay, this is the frequency in which people are mentioning that the cookbook misses brisket. He made sure that brisket was highlighted in his cookbook and just kept going down and made this huge list of kind of what people loved about the existing cookbooks. He made sure that he had his own, you know, just as good or even better quality recipes, as well as everything that was missing. So basically a similar priced book with everything and more than any other cookbook. And obviously if you're a buyer on Amazon, and then exactly. So of course it goes into product development, that it should also of course go into visuals. And a lot of people miss that. There's kind of like they go to a copywriter, they go to a photographer or a designer and just like, hey, make this look or sound pretty, instead of have this connect and resonate and make a connection with my target audience. So yeah, anyway, I know we could probably go on for a lot longer. I know we've already probably gone on longer than expected, but I hope you guys have found this valuable. And then Anna, before we kind of close, do you have anything else that we haven't covered already about A+, anything quick that you want to share with the audience?
I think, to be honest, it was so complete. I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
If there's anything else, feel free to ask in the comments below. Feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to share my knowledge. You know, we offer a free content marketing consultation for everybody. So if you need help, you know, with a visual strategy, if you're not sure what is it that you need to communicate to your customers, please reach out. I'll be happy to make the analysis and walk you through it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So what's the best way for people to kind of utilize that? Maybe we'll try to figure out everything there's going to be a huge description section. We're going to include everything that we kind of talked about there in the description. So people can find you, website, social media. What's the best way for people to kind of reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way would be to schedule the consultation with us. You'll have the link to my calendar on the website. The best way would be to schedule the consultation. I'm gonna get on a quick call with you. We're gonna meet. You're gonna explain me where you're at. I'm gonna take a look at your listing, give some advice. You're free to, walk away with this advice and, do something yourself or with somebody else. If you are interested with us helping you, I'm gonna share with you, our rates. We do not have packages. Like I mentioned, everything is custom. So I'm just going to share with you like sort of general rates and like average cost of our services. And if you're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and, go into detail, research better, and come up with a custom content plan for you. It can be to optimize the whole listing, content plan for images, video, and A+ content, or either of those parts. If you already have great quality images and A+ content, but you feel like you're missing a video, we can do just that too.
Wonderful. Amazing. Good. And we'll make sure I'll connect with you, Anna, and we'll make sure we have the right information there for everyone who's interested to access. I know I'm interested. I'm sold. So Allie and I will be using your services moving forward. But yeah, appreciate everyone's time. We hope you guys found this valuable. And Anna, thank you so much for coming on. This is truly really, really amazing. And we hope to have you on in the future as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I had amazing time. It was fun. Yeah, let's do this again.
All right. Sounds good. I'll hold you to it.